Hi everyone, it's Don from Don's Family Vacation, and lately I'm getting a lot of questions about travel insurance because it's a very confusing topic, and yeah, it is. It's even difficult to try and explain travel insurance, but I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to do my best to talk about travel insurance right after this. Number one, let's talk about suppliers. First off, you can get your insurance directly through the cruise line, or you can get your insurance from a third party and making the arrangement yourself, like Aon Insurance, Manulife Insurance, Elise Insurance. There's all kinds of insurance companies out there you can get travel insurance from. The difference is, the cruise line is basically going to be full coverage, including cancellation insurance and medical insurance, and it comes at a little higher cost. When you can make the phone calls yourself and check out different companies, you can get it cheaper. You could also break it up. If you don't want the trip cancellation insurance and just want the medical insurance, you can book it that way. So you can end up getting it much cheaper, especially if your trip is very, very expensive and you don't want that trip cancellation insurance. So those are the two options. There we go, we've got that. There's also the two types of the actual insurance. Overall insurance that covers your trip, or medical insurance that just covers you if something happens on your trip. So the trip cancellation insurance, there's different categories. It can range from 50% of your trip to 75 to 90% of your trip, depending on the insurance that you go with. So there's different premium, platinum, regular, all those kind of things. It's up to you to decide what your comfort zone is. Personally, I look at how much money my trip is about to cost me. If I'm going on a 3-day vacation to the Caribbean on basically a weekend Carnival cruise, it's only going to cost me like $400. I'm not going to buy trip cancellation insurance because I'm willing to lose that $400 if something happens. Medical insurance, on the other hand, I'm going to still get that because if I break my leg in the Caribbean, it can cost me thousands of dollars to get fixed and back to where I am if I miss the ship and all these kind of things. So those few dollars to buy a 3-day medical insurance is worth it to me. So those are your two options, and you can combine them both obviously and get full coverage with your medical and trip cancellation. And like I said, I usually go to the price point of what I'm most comfortable with. If you're one of those people that are nervous about dealing with companies on your own, so like you don't want to make the phone calls to ask questions or read up on things, just go with the cruise line's insurance. It's hassle-free. You have to book it when you book your cruise. Don't wait, because then you might have to go through the insurance company yourself and make all these forms and all these other things. If you want the travel insurance, book it at the time of your cruise, and that's it. You're automatically covered from there on. As far as medical insurance is concerned, no matter if you get it approved or not through the insurance company, there are conditions involved. For instance, myself, I have cancer at the moment, and I have been dealing with cancer for the last 3 years, and I have a surgery scheduled early next year. So if something happens on my trip that's directly related to the cancer, or any pills or medication I'm taking for that cancer, then I'm not covered because that was a precondition. It's not part of something that happened during the trip. However, if I go over there and I break my leg, then I'm covered because that has nothing to do with the treatments that I'm currently undergoing. If I want to get covered for anything that happens, including the cancer or medication, then I have to call the insurance companies myself and get a different policy, one that includes that, and that's going to come at a much more premium cost. So if you're one of those people who are really suffering at the moment, like currently myself, you wouldn't know to look at me. I'm not on any medication right now. I'm just waiting for my surgeries. I feel pretty good. So yeah, I'm not too worried about anything happening that way with my trip. The only coverage I want is to make sure I'm covered if I break my leg, I get into an accident, I trip and fall downstairs, I come down with a sickness from bug bites or whatever it might be. That's what I'm going to get for my coverage. So keep that in mind. If you have any preconditions, you have to let the insurance company know. Otherwise, if something does happen, you could be in trouble and not be covered if it was directly related to that precondition you had. So that's a quick little breakdown of insurance. Cruise lines, great coverage. The insurance companies are used to dealing with the cruise lines and they know what they're talking about. It's easy to go through. You get very straight answers when you have to deal with them. I've had lots of clients that have had to deal with them and had to cancel their trips at the last moment, and they fulfilled pretty much right away the conditions of the contract. So they're very good at that, but they're going to come at a premium cost compared to going on your own. And again, like I said, you don't have that option to break it down into individual insurance. It's going to be comprehensive coverage, which is going to cover trip cancellation and medical all in one. Going to a third party, it's going to be cheaper. You can break it down from medical and trip cancellation and just take one or the other, or combine them both. It's probably still going to be cheaper than going through the cruise line, but you have to be comfortable with what you're getting, and don't just go for the cheapest price out there. Go with a reputable company that's dealing with it, like Aon in the United States or Manulife in Canada. Get those insurance companies that you know have a reputation and are not something that you just found on the internet. And lastly, one last thing about the trip cancellation insurance, and a little tip that I'd like to give you. Don't book your trip for the length of your cruise. For instance, I'm leaving for a 14-day cruise. My cruise starts on December 20th. I haven't booked my insurance starting on December 20th because I'm flying in 2 days earlier. So I booked my insurance 2 days earlier. You say, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I would book my insurance that way. I also book a day after I'm supposed to be home. So I arrive on January 3rd. I booked my insurance to cover me for January 4th as well, because if something happens on my way back and I'm delayed and I end up staying one more night in Fort Lauderdale, I'm still covered for insurance in case something happens. So keep that in mind as well. Give yourself that little leeway, because it's only a few dollars. We're talking $4 or $5 to extend it one more day. So it's really worth it, because you never know what can happen. You could be on your way to the airport and get in a taxi accident and break your leg, and now you're stuck. But you're covered with the insurance if you took that extra day. So I hope this made it a little clearer. Like I said, insurance is probably the hardest part to explain to people for their cruises, because there's so many options. And if you're really confused about it, it's really not that much of a difference to worry about it. If you're spending $5,000 on your cruise, are you going to argue about $80 difference between finding insurance on yourself or finding insurance through the cruise company? Just go with the cruise company. It's a lot more hassle-free, and you won't have to panic about it trying to find insurance before your trip, and you could just start enjoying planning for your cruise. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. You want to see more tip videos and more cruising videos, hit that subscribe button. And my cruise is coming up soon, and it's countdown day to 21 days. So until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.